Switch Radio Sport. This is Switch.
Worcester City win that game and they will be in Division 1 Midlands next season.
Chance in Paul Job's got chance in the penalty, gets shot in and goes to the back of the net, and Cheyenne Jarvis gets the second goal for Leaford Athletic this afternoon, found space in the 6-yard box.
Back to the edge of the penalty area with the pass, crossing towards the back post, headed goalwards and in!
That's a great shot from De Castro! Oh, what a save for Gray! And Winkin 2-0!
Stourbridge have won the Division 1 Midlands title.
The Women's Football Chat on Switch Radio.
Good evening, welcome along to this week's episode of the Women's Football Chat on Switch Radio. Loads to go through this week. We've got 80 games to look back on. We've got 36 games to have a look at. And you'll hear from members of Leaford Athletic, Sutton Coldfield Town, Northampton Town and Stourbridge between now and 6 o'clock. It's a bumper Women's Football Chat for your Saturday evening, so strap in because this is going to be a good one. Yes, welcome along to this week's episode of the Women's Football Chat on Switch Radio. My name is Chris Gadsby, with you through until 6 o'clock this evening with all of the very latest from the third and fourth tiers of women's football here in England. That's the FA Women's National League. And as I said there in the introduction, we've got so much to go through with 116, I suppose technically it's 114 games to talk about this week. So there is loads to get on with. We will have to crack straight down to it with the results and tables from the opening weekend of the FAWNL. We'll start then in the Northern Premier Division, where Burnley had a good opening day win against Middlesbrough. They win by 5-0. Melissa Lawley, Millie Ravening, Claudia Walker and Alifa Paul with the goals for Burnley. Melissa Lawley getting 2 in that opening game win for Burnley over Middlesbrough. Hull City, they begin life with a 1-0 win against Halifax. Goal for Hull City in that game came to Jessica Tugby-Andrew for Hull City. Wolverhampton Wanderers, they get a good 4-0 win away at Liverpool Feds to get their season started in the right way. Their goals coming to Amber Hughes in just the 5th minute, Luann Worsley in the 10th, Beth Merrick just before half time, and Amy Sims in the second half. Loughborough Lightning drawing with West Bromwich Albion in their first game back in the Northern Premier Division. Ella May Coots in the 17th minute with the goal for Loughborough Lightning. West Brom's goal coming from Francesca Orthodoxou. Stoke City beating Sporting Cowser by 3-1. Delphi Cole in the 19th and the 20th minute, and Alicia Collins in the 45 plus first minute as well. Rosie Axton getting a consolation goal for Sporting Cowser in the 96th minute there for Sporting Cowser. And Rugby Borough beating Derby County by 6-0, including a hat-trick for Sophia Malon in the 86th, 90th and 94th minute. Katie Morris in the 58th, Ebony Wiseman in the 63rd, May Moncaster in the 80th. So Rugby Borough had to wait until the second half to do all of their scoring, but did get a lot done and end up at the top of the Northern Premier Division table for the opening weekend. They are At the top, having won that game and with a goal difference of 6, Burnley slot into second, goal difference of 5, and Wolverhampton Wanderers in third with a goal difference of 4. Stoke City in 4th, also winning their game against Sporting Cowser, and Hull City in 5th, also with a win. Loughborough Lightning and West Bromwich Albion take 6th and 7th, with the 5 teams that lost on the opening day slotting in 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th and 12th. Let's move on to the Southern Premier Division then, where AFC Bournemouth got a good win against Billericay Town by 7 goals to 0. Really big result there for Bournemouth on their first game in Tier 3, and they did it with 10 for the last half an hour as well after Molly Clark was sent off. Sophie Quirk with the opening goal of the game in the 24th minute, Molly Clark in the 37th, then Jenna Markham in the 48th, Kenny Thompson 59th. Sophie Quirk got a second at 45 plus 4 as well, and then 2 for Abby Jones in the second half, 63rd and 90th. So a big win for AFC Bournemouth over Billericay Town. AFC Wimbledon losing to Rail Bedford by 2 goals to 1. Izzy Bryant in the 30th minute, Layla O'Brien in the 93rd, Daisy McLaughlin in the 43rd minute with the only goal for AFC Wimbledon. So it's a late winner for Rail Bedford deep into stoppage time that gives them the 3 points on the opening day of the season. Oxford United beat Gwalior United by a goal to 0. Holly Turner just after the half-hour mark with the only goal of that game. Exeter City winning away at Cheltenham Town by 2 goals to 0. Sophie Gillies and Bo Jackson with the goals for Exeter City. A 0-0 draw between Lewis and Watford, and Plymouth Argyle beating #United by 3 goals to 0. Paris Dalton in the 16th minute, Charlotte Whitmore in the 30th, and Phoebe Poole in the 42nd minute, with a good win there for Plymouth Argyle at home to #United. Southern Premier Division table, it's AFC Bournemouth then, who have now gone 900 days in the league unbeaten. They top the Southern Premier Division after game 1 with that big 7-goal difference swing over Billericay Town. Plymouth Argyle in second after beating #United. Exeter City third, Rail Bedford fourth. They start life in the Southern Premier Division with a win. And Oxford United in fifth. Again, one draw in the Southern Premier Division like there was in the Northern Premier Division. Lewis and Watford taking 6th and 7th spot after the first match day, with AFC Wimbledon, Gwalior United, Cheltenham Town, #United and Billericay Town rounding off the Southern Premier Division table. Moving through then into Tier 4, we're going to go to Division 1 North first, where Cheadletown Stingers, having just missed out on promotion to the Northern Premier Division last season, have started this season with another win. Jessica Gillen, just 3 minutes into the game, gave them the lead over Blackburn Rovers, who of course dropped down 2 tiers this season into Division 1 North. And then in the second half, Jessica Lightfoot giving Cheadletown Stingers a 2-0 win. Huddersfield Town, they beat Doncaster Rovers Bells by 3 goals to 0. Doncaster, you remember, were reprieved at the end of last season. They've started this season with a 3-0 defeat. Elise Gindra in the 10th and the 29th minute. Bethany Ibbotson in the 87th minute with the goals for Huddersfield Town. Leeds United drawing with Chorley 1-1. Leeds finished the game with 10 as Sian Kibril Keating was sent off, only coming on in the 80th minute and didn't see the end of the game. Macy Ellis with the opening goal for Leeds United in the 58th minute. Elizabeth Hamer with the equaliser for Chorley just 2 minutes later. Norton Stockton Ancients got a 1-0 win over Chester Street Town. They left it late. Bianca Owens in the 87th minute with the only goal of that game to give Norton Stockton Ancients the win on the opening day. Stockport County said welcome to the FAWNL Wythenshawe by beating them 5-0. Jess Battle, Paige Cole, Kennedy Owen and Emily Bradshaw plus an own goal from Wythenshawe giving Stockport the big 5-0 win. And York City started their season with a valuable 3 points. Katie Astor in the 7th minute, Neve Doody in the 43rd, giving them a 2-0 lead at half-time. Durham Sestra get one back through Faye Dale in the 65th minute, but aren't able to find an equaliser. And York City, who flirted with that relegation zone for so long last season before pulling themselves away from it at the end, have got a very good 3 points to start their campaign. The Division 1 North table. Stockport County take the top spot after that big 5-0 win over Wythenshawe. Huddersfield Town in second. Cheadletown Stingers in third. York City fourth. Norton Stockton Ancients fifth, the sides that won. Again, there is one draw. Chorley and Leeds United taking 6th and 7th, with Durham Sestra, Chester Street Town, Blackburn Rovers, Doncaster Rovers Bells and Wythenshawe yet to get off the mark this season after just one game. Division 1 Midlands results then. We're going to start with Barnsley Women's beating Worcester City by 3-1. Barnsley getting their goals through Helen Linsky, Amber Sewell and Tanya Fossard. Jessica Bate in the 80th minute with the only goal of the game for Worcester City. Boldmere St Michael's start their campaign with a 3-0 away win at Lincoln United. Laura Cooper in the 47th minute was the one in the middle. Keely Davis just before half-time gave Boldmere St Michael's the lead and then came off just before half-time as well to be replaced by Anna Wilcox. And then Laura Cooper right after the restart. Janelle Stracker just 9 minutes after the restart gave Boldmere St Michael's a comfortable 3-0 win. Great game between Northampton Town and Leafield Athletic, and it's the visitors who get the 3 points. Leafield through Gemma Fraser in the 64th minute. Big result for them, getting valuable 3 points over one of the other sides you suspect are going to be towards the top of the table come the end of the season. Peterborough United beating Notts County by 4-1. Niamh Connor in the right after the restart, actually 47th minute, getting the first goal for Peterborough after they went in at the break behind because Shaniqua Barnes had put Notts County in front on 40 minutes. Then Niamh Reynolds 54th, 65th and 93rd minute, a hat-trick for her at Coronation Park means Peterborough United get a 4-1 win on opening day of the season. Sheffield beat Kidderminster Harriers, the battle of the two new promoted sides, 1-0 on the opening day. Lauren Winter in the 63rd minute with what proved to be the only goal of the game, in a game where 5 yellow cards were handed out. So quite a physical game between Sheffield and Kidderminster Harriers. And then finally, for Division 1 Midlands, Sutton Coldfield Town beating Stourbridge by 4-2. Olivia Ashfield, Eva Cassidy with 2 and Jodie Price with the goals for Sutton Coldfield Town. Ella Sharp and Imogen Louise Poyle with the goals for Stourbridge. What that means for the Division 1 Midlands table after match day 1. 6 wins and 6 defeats. Peterborough United go top. Boldmere St Michael's second. Sutton Coldfield Town third. Barnsley Women's fourth. Leafield Athletic fifth. And Sheffield 6th with the 3 wins. And then Kidderminster Harriers, Northampton Town, Stourbridge, Worcester City, Notts County and Lincoln United at the bottom of the table. Well, 4 leagues down then for the opening day of the season. Let's hear from some of those key figures from that opening Division 1 Midlands game. We're going to start with Stourbridge. Let's hear from Megan Bailey.
Meg, first of all, how did you find the game today?
Yeah, I thought the game had its positives. Obviously, the result's frustrating, 4-2. I think we had our chances and we played some good football in terms of in possession. I think out of possession, we had our moments and that's what's led to the 4 individual mistakes. But we take accountability for that and we move forward, and every game's a final in our opinion in the National League. So we go again, we start again and we look to build off today.
And you mentioned those defensive mistakes there. Do you think Stourbridge were almost an architect of their own downfall this afternoon? And how do you go about correcting what you saw defensively from us today?
I think you're right in saying it. I think if you know, in hindsight, I think the first goal especially, I think there's a bit of nerves, a bit of shakiness to the new campaign. But I think there are 4 individual mistakes which we're aware of and the group are aware of and took accountability for those mistakes. But also they're learning curves for players to develop as a group. They're still a fresh group and we go again. We know it's not what we wanted to achieve today. However, we learn from it. Everything's a learning curve in this league.
And that first goal coming inside 10 minutes, did that almost change the game plan or the way that you set up going forward, obviously conceding quite early on in the game?
I think it was a bit of a wake-up call, to be honest. I think, some players can step into this league with a bit of naivety. We are quite a young group and some that have never played women's football before, but I think it provided us a wake-up call that the speed of play in this game, it exists, and if you don't play with speed, you get caught out, and Sutton pounced on that opportunity and did exactly that. However, I think it gave us a little bit of an edge to fight back and something to work for, and throughout the game, there was moments we were at 2-1 and we were fighting and leading the game, and we have to learn that people take their opportunities when presented, and it's ended up in the 4-2 loss today.
And obviously, this is your first proper management job in women's football. How have you found the summer as a whole in terms of players coming in, players going out, and also what you found in pre-season?
Yeah, I think obviously it's our first managerial debut today and across the summer, and been hard work. When I stepped in, there was very minimal left in terms of players leaving, players that were willing to stay on top of staff. So we've had to restructure and completely rebuild. However, I feel we've made a nice group in terms of staff, and the players trust those staff in front of them. And, we've got a group within the space of 8 weeks, and we've built something quite special, but it takes time, and Rome's not built overnight. And we know that we've still got our work to do and the final product's not there, but that's what the season's there for. It's our learning curve, and it's something for us to work off.
I want to speak a little bit about some of those signings that you've made and some of the players that have come into the first team. First of all, Molly May, that was announced just before kick-off today. Obviously, she's not a player that's played a massive amount of football recently. A lot of people in the area will be familiar with her name, though. How did you sort of go about that signing and fitting her into the squad today, as she's not had a massive amount of pre-season training with Stourbridge?
Yeah, to be honest, Molly's been training with us for a little bit. However, we just bided our time a little bit, as you're aware, that she didn't play that much football. So it's took her a bit of time to find her feet again. But I think she made her impact today, and her hold-up play was very good today. But it's something that's still fresh for her, and it's fresh ideas around new players she's not played with. So everything takes time, but she's stepped up and done well today, and I think the final product is coming with her.
And one thing Stourbridge has always prided themselves on is that pathway from youth team football straight into the first team. Two players that I want to mention here, Bella Martin and Demi Phillips. How do you feel they both did today, and what sort of message does that convey to the younger members of the squad and the players that are currently in the pathway themselves?
I think the statement to say really is, if you're good enough, you're old enough. I think no age is a restriction on football. I think if you've watched Bella, if you were with my under-16s or anyone who witnessed that, is the world's her oyster. She knows how technical she is and the ability she can have, and now it's her opportunity to showcase that in women's football. Same for Dem, the world's their oyster. They're still 16 and 19 years old and have featured today in a Tier 4 game, and I think it's onwards and upwards for the pair of them, and it's proof that pathway works. If you want it, you've got to work for it. But two of them have proved today that they can impact games at the highest level.
And finally, just touching on Wednesday night, obviously West Brom in the Women's National League Cup. First of all, what are your thoughts on the whole restructure of that into a sort of group league format, and how do you feel that you're going to prepare for that game?
I think it's a nice new format. It gives us a fresh idea and a fresh challenge that's aside to the league. Obviously, the league for us is our main focus. However, a cup gives us opportunities to try different things and play against oppositions of higher levels. And same for the PGAs. It's good to have those introduced to see what the academy setups are like around the setup and see what their comparison is like to Tier 4. But I think it provides a fresh challenge for players away from the league. But it's exciting. You get to play opportunities against Tier 3 sides, PGAs, all those, some of the best footballers around the world at the current time. We know our plan for that game, and we're set for Wednesday.
Megan Bailey there after Stourbridge's defeat on the opening day of the season. Switchsport was also at the game between Northampton Town and Leafield Athletic. You will hear from Leafield Athletic assistant manager Luke Beardsmore and goalkeeper and captain Collette Bell coming up. But first, let's hear from Northampton Town's Josh Oldfield.
Josh, not to be today, commiserations. 1-0 loss today against Leafield Athletic. Tight affair this afternoon, not much in it really. Hot weather conditions as well. Let's get your thoughts on the match to begin with, Josh.
The first goal was always going to be important, wasn't it? I feel that had that gone our way, then maybe the game might have been different. I think it was one of those where one goal might have been enough, and it turned out to be that. So from our point of view, we're disappointed in the goal that we conceded, in the way that it came about. Obviously disappointed generally to concede, but in the manner that we did, it wasn't a good goal from our point of view. It was a game where it was really tight and compact, and there wasn't much given either way, and that was a gift, I think, really. So we're disappointed with the manner of the goal and its occurrence. But from there on, I think they managed the game really well, and maybe we just struggled to then find the way back into the game. I think we maybe had a couple of minutes where we were frantic. I think ultimately that's cost us. They got on top of the game. And to be fair to them, they suffocated it well from that moment onwards. So yeah, it was one of them. It was a 0-0, really competitive. It remained competitive post the goal, but we were less threatening, and like I said, they suffocated the game quite well.
Also, when they scored, Leafield scored though, you were creating chances, and Collette Bell, Leafield keeper, had to make a couple of good quality saves because you're causing her problems with the balls in the area. In particular, players like Alex Dix, I thought, created a couple of good chances, and also Paige Ridley, Kat Morrison. You know, these are players who I know they're quality because I've seen them play before for your club anyway, Josh. But is that frustration because you thought if that one opportunity had gone in before they got the goal, it could have opened the floodgates, couldn't it?
Again, I think one goal would have been enough either way today. And
I think it was that tight this afternoon, Josh.
I think so, mate. Yeah, we felt that had we got the first goal, then we would have backed ourselves to see that out. And from our point of view, the way the game you think would have gone, they'd have had to squeeze on a little bit more, and that might have opened up more space for transition for us. So you've always got the option of the counter attack then. But like I said, they did a good job after they'd scored of squeezing it and suffocating it, and we didn't do well enough in keeping the game fast and keeping the game alive. And it's something that I was trying to drive from the side, but we'll learn from it. It's not something out the realms of fixing. It absolutely is fixable. It's something that we just need to manage the game a bit better and make sure that we can keep control of our emotions. I thought that maybe we just felt a little bit sorry for ourselves having gone 1-0 down, and then maybe gone the other way and you go 1-0 up, you feel really good about yourself and you've got that extra little burst of energy. But it went the other way for us today, where we dropped our levels just slightly after the goal, and that was enough for them to properly strangle it.
Options on the bench, players I've known. You've brought players in like Tilly Phantom, Gabby Meyer, Hannah Samuels, and Ataya Bajan came off the bench as well. So you got strength in depth this season, Josh. And next few weeks be interesting. Sort of the players you've got here, the players you brought in as well. But you put those options on to sort of try and things mix up a little bit. Not to be for yourself today, but it's a very strong squad you got this season. You got strength in depth. Was that the key thing you want to learn from last season to sort of go a stage further? Because it was a great, successful season for the club last season, wasn't it? I remember we spoke towards the tail end last season. The success you felt the club could bring in the next 4 or 5 years in particular. But bringing in players like Tilly Phantom and also Gabby Meyer, that certainly says to me like a statement that you know you've got quality in your squad, but you want to add to it going forward, Josh.
Yeah, it's been a summer of transition for us in the way that we brought players in. You're right. We've been replacing players that have gone too. So from that point of view, we are in a position where we've got a fairly new group. There's probably more movement than I'd have liked in terms of ins and outs. You're right about last season being a good one for us. We got results. We didn't always play well, but we had that know-how and that little bit of nous to be able to do things like Leafield did today in terms of getting yourself ahead, getting your nose ahead, and then seeing it out. So that's something that we need to make sure that we're getting back towards and staying in games and just that little bit of smarts. I think that little bit of smarts. It's a new group. We've brought in 6, 7, 8 now, is it? So it's more movement than potentially I'd have liked, but it's a good group of people, and that's massively important to us. It's people that want to be at the football club and that want to work hard for the shirt, and they're all cliches, aren't they? But they're really, really important. Those bits are really important to us, and I'd rather be in a room with a group of people that are really invested in what we're doing than anything else. So I'm pleased with what we've got, and we've still got the options of younger players coming through too, and there's a couple of those on the bench today who didn't quite get on the pitch, but they've had good pre-seasons and they've impacted the team too. So we're in a position where we do have a strong squad. We've always had a strong pathway below the first team, and I'm not scared of using those girls either. So yeah, we're set up for a good season. All of a sudden the squad, which felt a bit thin maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago, feels competitive, and it feels like we've got options to change games and to maybe make changes depending on how training goes and that sort of stuff too. So we've got a good squad, but as I said, more importantly than that, we've got a good group of people.
Good group indeed, Josh. And finally then, on the horizon, a mixture of cup and league matches to contend with for the round of this month going to September. Arsenal Academy, your next fixture, National League Cup. Chance to sort of look at your squad, maybe make some changes, but it's interesting, the cut and thrust of having like league and cup matches so early in the campaign. Can that be a good thing to get your group more knitted together, more mentally be tougher together over the next coming weeks? I know you've got a strong group anyway, Josh, but does it give you a real opportunity to sort of really see how strong your squad is in terms of mentality and fitness levels to play these games? Let's be fair, very, very busy next 4 or 5 weeks for the club, really, isn't it?
Yeah, everyone's the same. It's very early, like you said, to be having midweek cup games, especially of the kind of the calibre of Arsenal 21s, which is obviously going to be a big step in terms of the output that we're going to have to put on. No disrespect to any other clubs, there's definitely PGAs that are not at the level of Arsenal, aren't there? So it's going to be a challenge for us, but it's one that we're looking forward to. I think you can look at the next game coming quickly in both ways, can't you? We didn't get what we wanted today, so it's an opportunity for us to put that right quite quickly. That's exciting. But then you've also got the idea of you've got preparation for Kidderminster on Sunday too, and you wouldn't be against having a couple of sessions to be able to fix the bits that we thought didn't get as right as we'd have liked to today, or fix the little bits or add little bits, whatever it might be. It's a fairly new group of people. A couple of the girls literally in this morning and done very limited work with us so far. So it's a case of trying to get those learnings in, trying to get familiar with each other in terms of staff players and players to players and the combinations on the pitch too. So yeah, it's not a bad thing to be playing games. We've had a pre-season, we've had an off-season, and I'm not going to moan about playing football. I like matches, so we'll certainly take the challenge on and to do our best in it.
Collette, congratulations. 1-0 victory today against Northampton Town. Great to always start your league campaign with a win. Coming to a team this afternoon who you know are like one of the fancied teams in terms of how they're done on off the pitch. There's been a lot of speculation, a lot of discussion, lots of talk about that some of the teams who are going to be improving, like yourselves. You brought players in and improving as well. But I think it'd be fair to say, on balance of play, deserving the win this afternoon, in particular how the way yourselves conducted yourselves throughout the entire 90 minutes.
Yeah, definitely. I think a lot of work has gone on behind the scenes in terms of tactical decisions, where players might be playing, how we might set up, etc. And with our team, we've got quite a lot of different options. So I think being able to pick exactly what we were going to do against Northampton to try and exploit maybe some of our weaknesses that we picked up on was really good, and I think we executed that perfectly today.
The goal was scored by Gemma Fraser in the second half on 64 minutes of play. But the first half, very tight affair though, but you were creating chances. Very hot conditions here. Water breaks were going to happen during the course of the first and the second half as well. But going into the break at 0-0, was that always going to be the starting point? If we can keep it tight in the first, just build from them and create problems in the second half.
Yeah, I think with it being the first game of the season and us having quite a few new players, it was definitely about settling us in and making sure that we knew exactly what we were doing and how we were working with each other. So I think going in at 0-0 at half time was pretty good for us because it was a very stop-start game, which I think was part of their tactics, to be honest. But with them having so many pauses in the game and it being hot and needing those water breaks, etc., we were very happy with 0-0, and actually that then gave us a good platform in the second half to go and push on and actually create more chances.
I must say special praise for Anita Gaspar. It's always difficult when you're playing with your own. You know, within seconds you've got 2 or 3 players on you straight away. I thought she played really well this afternoon, held the line very strong for the team up until when she got the injury.
Yeah, Neitz has been an absolutely brilliant signing for us this summer. She's a very different player. Some of our strikers that we've had in the past are a lot more kind of quick, in behind, running through kind of players, but she's absolutely excellent at holding the ball up, creating chances around her, and I think that's a real point of difference for us this season, and think something that a lot of teams will struggle with actually trying to mark her and basically get past her.
Lots of good positive relationships on the pitch as well, Collette. I mean, in particular, I was very impressed with the work that your colleague Grace Godwin was doing this afternoon down the flank, causing lots of problems. She was in a real tussle with her equivalent on the pitch as well, the number 16 for Northampton, Angel Dade. But every player seemed to knew what their role was the entire 90 minutes, and it does seem to me, in comparison to last season, you've got a sense of a real stillness about yourself and how you know to sort of game manage games in 65, 70, 75 minutes. There was no tiredness out there this afternoon.
I mean, I think there probably definitely was tiredness, but the work that we've put in pre-season, especially like Grace, the work that she's put in pre-season, to be able to do that work in that wing-back position alongside Abby Cowie, that is a hell of a lot of work. So for her to do that for 80 minutes or however long she managed today is a real credit to her. Yeah, you can see all the impact and everything that people have put in during the summer. That's then come across today, and it's ultimately given us the win and let us still make challenges and still compete and hold that ball up in the final third for those last 10 minutes when they were trying to look for a winner. It's the summer and the work that people have put in which has obviously made that happen.
And you double role this afternoon, being goalkeeper and captain. How do you define taking on that dual responsibility this afternoon? Is it a role you feel comfortable doing for the club going forward?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I've been captain of Leafield now for the last 3 seasons, I think. So it's something that I've kind of grown into. It is difficult, especially with the new rules, being the goalkeeper, always needing a vice captain on the pitch to be able to speak to the referee. But I trust Hayley Crackle was that vice captain today, and I trust her 100% with everything that she can do with the referee and calming those situations as well. She's got amazing experience at various levels playing in women's football. So I think between the two of us, we really make a good team.
Absolutely. You need those partnerships, don't you? We talk about partnerships with players, what they do on the pitch into the play, but having the communication skills are very vital, isn't it, Collette? And you feel you and Hayley have got a good partnership to sort of like communicate what's needed on the pitch throughout the season, what Tash and the coaching staff want to relay to yourselves, to rely on to the players as well during the season.
Yeah, I'd say so. And obviously with us being further back in the pitch, that also gives us the a bit more of an outlook, and we can see everything that's going on in front of us. And I think we've worked together now for the last couple of seasons. I would hope that the players trust us and what we have to say. And obviously us working closely with Luke and with Tash, knowing potentially what they want from us as well and how we then can communicate that onto the girls, I think really helps make everything smooth from a leadership perspective.
So moving on from this success this afternoon against Northampton Town, interesting roster of games on the horizon. It is really sort of like full on now, isn't it, in terms of lots of games being played over the coming weeks with Leicester City Academy back at Castlevale Stadium in the National League Cup. Not much rest up between that game really. You've got Sheffield at home on the 24th, then Worcester City back at Sixway Stadium, and then Stourbridge in the Cup. So the cut and thrust of Cup and League matches is upon us now, isn't it, Collette, with the next few weeks of the season? But from a personal point of view, you're looking forward to the fact that all the games and the momentum it can keep yourself going and keep playing football, because sometimes you can go a situation where you have a game in a 2-week gap. It can be frustrating, can't it? Ties them on the legs, but you're looking forward to all the matches on the horizon for yourself and the squad.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, starting the season with a 3-game week is tough. Yeah. But the fact that we've got such a deep squad and so many players that are fighting for starting positions, I don't think we've got to worry with who can fill in for what spots. If we've got tired legs, if we need some squad rotation, our squad depth is so good, we'll always have a replacement for whatever we need. And I think that's credit to Tash and to Luke for what we've managed to recruit over the summer. So yeah, it's exciting, and it's really good that we've got so many games. I know it will be a lot, but I definitely think that we've got a chance here to get quite a few points and quite a few wins from these next few games.
Of course, with the National League Cup, the way it's been formatted this season, Collette, with the group stage format to begin with, the group matches to begin with, it does give Tash and all the coaches to utilise every single player for the first 6 weeks of the season, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely, and it gives everyone a chance for some minutes, everyone for a bit of a chance for a run around. Obviously, with us having quite a few new players, it gives us a chance to play with each other and give those opportunities to try out a few different things, especially with the Cup coming up. A team like Leicester City Academy, no clue what they're going to be like. I'm sure Tash and Luke and Joe with the analysis do, but for us, it's not a team that we played against, not a team we played against regularly anyway. So having those opportunities for different people to have a run around and see what we can do against the likes of Leicester City will be really exciting.
Luke, congratulations. A 1-0 victory this afternoon against Northampton Town. Good, solid, workmanlike, professional performance, I thought, as well. Chances being created. And, of course, you got the 3 points against a team. We know how their pedigree, we know how strong they are as well. Hot conditions today. Always going to be a challenge and a mental test. But I thought your players came through admirably, both in terms of how they applied themselves and how they saw the game out towards the end when you expected Northampton to throw a bit of pressure towards you in the last sort of 10-15 minutes, Luke.
Yeah, we knew from last season it'd be a tough game today. We had very close games with them both home and away last season, but as you say, it's been boiling today, so we knew that kind of the squad depth would be important. That's the important of a squad. Everyone plays their part and got through it in the end. Yeah, glad to get the win.
We'll go on the bench options in a moment, Luke, but you're starting 11, strong lineup to begin with. I was very impressed that Anita Gaspar, mentioned to your colleague Collette, doing that solo role can be hard work sometimes though, can't it? But it's all about sort of understanding the reason why she's got to do that, to bring other players into the play as well. Good work by Gwen Horgan, Angie Morley, as we know her quality as well. But I thought Grace Godwin played really well on the flank. She was up against her equivalent Angel Dade, but battled really hard. Sophie Hasselgrave and Hayley Crackle in the middle, calming things down as well. So you got leaders in every part of the pitch, don't you, Luke, who can sort of know when to change the tempo of the game. Say, look, we can slow things down here. We can still get something this afternoon. And I think the game management was absolutely key to your success this afternoon, Luke.
Yeah, exactly. And you need those leaders on the pitch to kind of settle us down and kind of control the game. And it's so important nowadays that you do settle it in those moments and don't kind of make it into a basketball game. So really happy with the squad and the team. And as I say, everyone's role today, they absolutely smashed it. So as I say, especially in this heat, fair play to them, the amount of effort they've put in, and kind of I thought they deserved the win overall from the game. So yeah, happy to come away.
Abby Cowie hitting the post as well. It seemed to have stumped the Northampton goalkeeper, but Katie Pullen didn't actually move for the shot, did she?
No, it was a great strike. Fell to her. Yeah, we all thought it was in. We was all up on the bench, but yeah, just hit the post and then needed a tap in really. But Cowie's got excellent quality, so I'm sure she'll get another chance hopefully in the next few games. So.
Absolutely, I'm sure there'll be more opportunities for Abby to get on the score sheet this season, but you made changes, bringing on the quality of players like Lizzie Bennett-Steele, but of course Gemma Fraser came on to replace Anita Gaspar, got the goal on 64 minutes, deserved a goal really, because she worked really hard to get that goal in the first place, didn't she, Gemma? Very similar player to Anita Gaspar in the sense that can go forward, but can take players on, but can also create problems as well. Are you almost building a squad where for like, you've got almost like 2 players per position, when one person has to step back or can't make a game, you've got that strength in depth now, maybe compared to maybe last season, Luke?
Every team needs depth, and when you look at kind of player profiles and kind of fair play to kind of like Tash for the squad she's kind of created. Yeah, you look at player profiles for certain positions and we'll change certain roles depending on formations and stuff throughout the season, but yeah, when you look at kind of player profiles, we've got a very big range, which is nice for us as a management team, because we can look at games and kind of approach it in different ways. So yeah, having both Gemma and Neats and players like T who wasn't here today, and then you've got the depth on the bench. It makes our lives a lot easier because we can look at games and go, well, if we want to change it and go this way instead of how we've set up to play originally, then we can. And if it's working, then we can keep it and kind of, it's very adaptable, which is nice.
Other players that came on as well, Evie Gallup came on, Esme Moran, and I've seen them play previously, are not quality they bring to this level as well. So the strengthening depth you mentioned is very important. The experience is very important as well, though, isn't it, really? But on the horizon, I spoke to your colleague Collette about this as well, actually, Luke. Mixture of cup and league matches on the horizon. You will utilise your squad, to be expected. But thankfully, with the exception maybe Anita Gaspar, you'll get more of an understanding how she's going to recover okay for the game against Leicester on the 21st. But by and large, though, no sort of major injury concerns to worry about after today's game against Northampton.
No, full squad at the minute, which is nice. Obviously, it's never the case as you get further into the season, but going into it, we've got a full squad to pick from. We'll see how Neats is. She seems to be okay, which is good. But obviously, we'll talk to SJ, the physio, and kind of see what the protocol is with that. But as you say, the squad depth are there to see, and quality in depth is nice.
Okay, so watch your space because Leafield will be on a squad for the future as well. But the experienced players you've got, the players coming in, the younger players as well will learn off the older heads. That's what it's all football about, isn't it, really, Luke, to be fair? But good to see that you've got a well-drilled group for this opening game. You knew it was going to be a test, and the weather conditions even made it more of a test, didn't it, this afternoon, Luke? But you come away thinking, job done, good professional performance and 3 points. A well-drilled performance overall by your team this afternoon, Luke.
Yeah, that's it. You look at it. Away win, 1-0, clean sheet, good start for us. And then we can go into the cup game and hopefully, it's a good platform to build on. So, you couldn't ask for much more, really. Just come home with the 3 points. That was the message before the game. Doesn't matter how we do it. Probably wasn't the prettiest game today, but 3 points is all that matters, isn't it? So, we'll go home with the 3 points and focus on the next game against Leicester.
Now, on the other side of that Stourbridge game was Sutton Coldfield Town. Now, let's hear from their defender, Freya Smith, and from first team manager Harry Rowe after that 4-2 victory over Stourbridge puts them third in the Division 1 Midlands table, even if it is just after game week 1.
Freya, could you give me the thoughts on your first game of the season and how it all went so far?
Yeah, we were all really excited to kick the season off. It's always a long time coming. Pre-season always feels so long. We were all really excited to get going today. We were expecting Stour to fight. We were expecting them to work hard, and it's exactly what they did. They made it extremely hard for us. But again, I think we made it hard for ourselves at times, but we dug deep. We found a lot of belief on the pitch today and managed to get that 4-2 win. And like you said, it was convincing. We worked hard. We matched their energy, if not one-upped it, and I think we were superb today.
As you mentioned it there, Stourbridge making you run in this heat, but also with that making themselves become exposed at the back, leading to an early goal, but then also the disallowed goal from the foul throw. How is the feeling within the camp to be able to capitalise on those mistakes at this point of the season so early?
I think we've got a lot of pace up front, and I think we used that really well today. We recognised that gaps were starting to open up slightly. The more we were moving the ball, the more gaps are opening up, and we recognised those triggers. And like I said, we've got pace up front, and I was backing them all game to win that foot race, and they did. And Eva, 2 superb finishes. Liv, striker's instincts, just got that little read on the ball and tapped it in. And Jodie, again, just instinct off the free kick.
Mentioning it there, and again, end-to-end game from both teams, really. Was you thinking at the time, thinking this could go either way, maybe a 2-1 to Stourbridge or even a 2-2 draw? What was the thoughts within the dressing room at half-time? Okay, it's 1-1 at the break, but then scoring so early to be able to take the lead again in the second half.
Yeah, I think you're spot on. We got that 1-0 lead and we got the 2-0 that was unfortunately disallowed, and they capitalised on that straight away, and they thought, you know what, we're going to equalise, we're going to give you this fight, we're going to give you a game. And that's exactly what we said at half-time. They are giving us a good game. But we thought, 45 minutes to play is ours for the taking, and I think that's exactly what we did. Again, they made it extremely hard for us. They capitalised on that corner, got that 2-1 lead. But I think we stayed calm, we stayed collected, we stayed together, and we managed to get that 3-4-2 win and made it a lot more convincing. And by potentially the last 5-10 minutes, I think you could see on the pitch visibly a lot calmer. And that fourth goal from Eva definitely helped that just relax that and expand that goal gap.
As you said there, the winning goal convincingly in the end coming from Eva Cassidy. How was that then allowing you to move the ball around a bit more freely? But also, are these things that you've worked on in pre-season, and how does it feel to be back under Harry again?
Yeah, it's no secret. We've made a lot of new signings. We've lost a lot of players from last season. So it has been, and I'd say similar for Stour. It's been a kind of a fresh start for us this year. We've got a fresh team. So did Stour. But I think one thing we've really worked on through pre-season is getting to know one another, both on and off the pitch. And especially off the pitch, we've took that onto the pitch. And I think today it's really showed how much we know each other and how much we've got to know each other through these 6, 7, 8 weeks of pre-season. And we've hammered on it in pre-season. We've hammered those little triangles, those little passages of play. That one of the goals, I believe the fourth goal, that little triangle with Jodie, Chloe, Dan, and the finish from Eva, I think it was a superb goal. And it was a team goal as well, which was really pleasing.
At times throughout the game, it did look like Average were pressing high up to get the ball back. You was able to play through the press. Is that something you've been working on in training with Harry as well?
Yeah, again, I think Stour, they clocked on to what we were doing from goal kicks 15, 20 minutes into the game. And we said at half time, look how they're setting up from goal kicks. They are setting up high. They're wanting to press. They're wanting to win that ball in that 18, 6-yard box. So we thought, we'll play around it. We'll stay calm on the ball. Again, play around it. If it's got to go, it's got to go. And I think we dealt with it really well. They give us challenges and we just overcome them every single time.
And there was a couple of chances what hit the post and even the crossbar at points. Are you then thinking, oh, this might not be our game, but then also looking at it from another way that it can also help the goal difference if those two do go in that come off the post and crossbar?
Yeah, definitely. Like you said earlier, when it was 1-1, especially 2-1, you're thinking this game can go either way. It was a very well-matched game. I think both sides were excellent today. And yeah, those chances that hit in the bar, it's all about, for me, that belief. They're going to go in, they're going to come, and they did. We got 4 in the end. We had, I believe, 1 off the post, 1 off the bar, and it's just that pushing, digging deep. It's one of our sort of mantras that we have before game. Winners find a way, you've got to dig deep. I think that's exactly what we did today.
Again, early on in the game, it looked a bit scrappy. Was that how it felt this early in the season? And then maybe being the first game particularly, it did feel a little bit scrappy at times before it opened up?
Yeah, 100%. But we knew that's how the game was going to go. We know they're a physical side. They work hard. They like to fight. They like to push teams, and it's exactly what they did. And we expected nothing less. But again, we dug deep and we found a way to get past that. We didn't lower our standards. We didn't lower the way we played. We didn't stop playing football. We stayed patient, and it paid off in the end.
And one last question. You've obviously got the Villa game coming up on Tuesday. Being a Birmingham City fan, how are you feeling about playing that?
Obviously it's a cup game, and cup games are always nice. Allows for rotations, allows us to try something new. Up the Blues, do you know what I mean?
Harry, congratulations on that first win of the season, your first competitive game for Southern Coalfield since taking over as manager. What were your thoughts on the game?
Yeah, I think as a first game, it was certainly entertaining. I know the neutrals would have enjoyed it a little bit more than me in terms of a little bit end-to-end and there was moments for both teams, but overall I'm really pleased. We've been trying a lot of things in pre-season that hadn't quite clicked, and today I felt like it was a lot more smoother. We were a lot more fluid in the way we wanted to play, and a lot of the training ground sort of practice and things that we've been working on really showed, and at the end of the day you've got a 4-2 win, so I can't be too dishappy with that.
Absolutely, yeah, and you seem to have quite a lot of pace up front that was really making Stairbridge struggle at the back there. Is that something that you identified or just something that you was playing towards your own strengths there?
Yeah, I think obviously when I came in I had a few targets, and Liv Ashfield was a really big one for me, obviously formerly of Stourbridge herself. I knew what she was about from last season in Tier 3, and I know that the running she gives you, she's so unselfish with the way she moves, and she will run wherever you need her to for how long you need her to, and players like that are superb. And I think when she combines well with Em and with Eva, and it creates real problems. There's not many defenders like to defend against pace, and it's really hard to defend against, and I think today was a perfect use of how we can use our pace in the right way. Obviously, sometimes we'll have to be a little bit more creative and not necessarily always focus on our pace, but today it worked really, really well.
I'll go on to mention Liv Ashfield, but also Chelsea Tague and Jess Howard, all new signings, all started today. How have they settled into the team?
Yeah, they've been brilliant. I'm sure you would have picked up on there was a lot of turnaround this season, and the group have bonded really, really well. I think Jess is a maturer head. She understands the game really well. She's a good leader. She demands what we need in terms of on the training pitch and demands those standards. And then when you see today, Darcy Cartwright had a good game, but I still think Jess kept it quiet. I think Jess did exactly what was needed of her against a young, very aggressive, very fit Darcy Cartwright who wanted to run at her. Chelsea and Liv are very similar. Chelsea's got so much quality with that left foot and so much ability, and it's just about trying to get that out of her, and it's finding that consistency for her. But we're working really, really hard. She listens, she applies herself really, really well, and like I just mentioned with Liv, she'll do whatever I ask she'll do, and as a manager that's all we can ask for.
A great equaliser by Stourbridge, and it could have been 2-1 at one point as well, but the goal was disallowed. How was the half-time team talk? Did that kind of influence the second half too much?
Yeah, I think we spoke a few things about tactical tweaks, about the way we wanted to build and the way that Stour had started to press a little bit, and we wanted to minimise that and find ways to play around that, which I think we did really, really well in the second half. And I think it was just a case of speaking to the girls about saying, look, trust in your quality. We had chance in the first half. Yes, we probably... Although I think we were probably still the better team in the first half, we certainly finished the weaker team of the two. And it was just about, relaxing, resetting, trusting ourselves, and just a few minor tweaks. But I think the girls did that really, really well.
And Cassidy, 2 great goals there. Was she a contender for a player of the match?
Yeah, I think when your number 9 scores 2 goals, I mean, arguably scores 3, but one's chalked off for a foul throw. You can't really look too far past that. We've worked really hard with Eva in pre-season. She's a hard worker. She cares a lot and she wants to improve a lot. And I think today sort of summed up what she's about in terms of she's not afraid to do the hard work. She's not afraid to jostle with centre backs and have that physical battle. But also she'll run channels. She'll get in behind. She'll do exactly what you want. And then 2 really well taken goals of different nature. The first one, which is a really good finish over the goalkeeper, and then the second one, which is a very good header from a brilliant delivery. And when you've got a striker that can do both, it really, really helps you.
And lastly, Aston Villa to come. Not much time to prepare for that one. What are your thoughts going into that game?
Yeah, I think it's where our squad is massive. I think it's where the use of our squad and the trust in the quality of our squad is going to be really, really important. There will be changes, of course. It's a 48-hour turnaround, and especially after the heat and the efforts today, we have to manage that, of course. But now I'm looking forward to it. I've featured against Aston Villa before. I know that they'll play good football. I know that they'll have good quality footballers and good technical footballers, and we have to minimise that. And then I think we'll just trust in our squad, trust who plays on the pitch on the day, and it's a tough game, so anything can happen.
I did say we had some really great interviews for you on the Women's Football Chat this week. Let's move straight on to Division 1 South East now, thanks to all of those players and managers for chatting to us over the course of the last week here on Switch Radio. We'll bring you so much coverage of the FAWNL over the course of the 25-26 season. Division 1 South East then, AFC Sudbury losing to Chatham Town by 5-1 for the opening day of the season. Chatham Town have a really great start to the year, actually. Atesha Charles in the 10th minute, Carisha Eiton in the 30th, Ellie Jeffkins in the 73rd, Madison Woodgate in the 37th, Amy Russ in the 75th, Amy Lee Abrahart with the only goal for AFC Sudbury, but a big 4-goal margin of victory for Chatham Town to start life in Division 1 South East for this season. London Bees beating Cheshire United by 4-0. Lily Whitelock in the 13th minute, Samantha Gabion in the 51st, Briony Fowle in the 84th, and Cheyenne Flynn in the 95th minute. So good victory away from home for London Bees to start the year. Fulham, after getting promoted last season, they beat Cambridge United by 2-1. Katie Dungate in the 17th minute and Ellie Olds in the 90th minute with that winner. A very late winner for Fulham. Kimberly Farrow with the only goal for Cambridge United. And Luton Town also start life in Division 1 South East with a win. A 3-1 win over Dulwich Hamlet. Natasha Fensom in the 27th and the 40th minute. Courtney Ward-Chambers in the 60th minute for Luton Town. A consolation goal from Michaela Benyon for Dulwich Hamlet in the 90th minute was all they could manage away at Luton Town. Milton Keynes Dons 0, Queen's Park Rangers 7. Big victory for QPR, including 4 goals for Grace Stanley, 16th, 20th, 35th minute and 67th for her 4th. Fern Orchard in the 60th minute, Jess Leach in the 73rd minute, Billy Brooks in the 89th minute. So big win for Queen's Park Rangers. And a big win for Norwich City as well. 4-0 over Actonians. Ellie Bishop, Holly Kennard, Grace Rigler and Natasha Snelling with the goals for Norwich City, which have interestingly done the rounds on social media this week, particularly that opening goal, which hits the crossbar, comes down, and from the angle that the camera is looking at it, doesn't look as though it has crossed the line, but the goal was given and it ended up as 4-0 to Norwich City. In terms of the table, then, it's Queen's Park Rangers who go top with that big goal difference of 7. Chatham Town in 2nd, London Bees 3rd, Norwich City 4th, all winning with a margin of 4 goals. Luton Town in 5th, Fulham in 6th, with those 6 teams having won. Cambridge United, Dulwich Hamlet, AFC Sudbury, Actonians, Cheshire United and Milton Keynes Dons rounding off the Division 1 South East table. Division 1 South West results then. Bournemouth Sports 1, Abingdon United 4. Good victory for Abingdon United to start their season. Molly Dyer, 13th and 73rd minute. Nell Boxall, 28th minute. Mimi Hodges, 82nd minute with all of their goals. Ellie Elkins in the 45+1, the only goal for Bournemouth Sports. It did mean that they only went in at half-time, 2-1 down. Bristol Rovers, they beat Ascot United by 1-0. Maisie Collis in the 74th minute, the only goal of that game. So good start for Bristol Rovers. Ascot United, though, plenty for them to be encouraged by after that first game in the FAWNL. Only a 1-0 defeat to Bristol Rovers. Keynsham Town beat Marine Academy Plymouth 2-0. Jade Radburn in the 16th minute. Georgia Galley in the 75th minute with the goals for Keynsham Town. Moneyfields beating Bridgewater United by 3-1. Megan Fox in the 20th and the 62nd minute. Shannon Albury in the 67th minute with the goals for Moneyfields. Beatrice Crettys with the only goal for Bridgewater United. Game of the day, though, we've had to wait until the penultimate game in Division 1 South West for it. Portishead Town 4, Worthing 5. Great game, this one. Worthing take the lead in the first minute through Jasmine Smith. She gets a second at 45+1. And then Kelly Jones equalises for Portishead Town 1-1 after 12 minutes. They then fall behind through Lauren and Menria. So it's then 2-1 to Worthing after 21 minutes. That lasts for 1 minute. Alana Torrington, 22 minutes, makes it 2-2. That only lasts for a couple of minutes before Kira Morris makes it 3-2 to Worthing on the 24th minute. And then Jasmine Smith with her second makes it 4-2 to Worthing at half time. Portishead Town then fight back. Kelly Jones with her second of the game in the 48th minute makes it 4-3. Shannon Holloway in the 71st minute then makes it 4-4. Are we heading for a 8-goal thriller draw? No, because Amber Hazelwood in the 90th minute gives Worthing a 5-4 lead and ultimately the win. Swindon Town, the other game in Division 1 South West, beating Maidenhead United by 4-1. Annabelle Colston bookending the game, really, with a goal in the first and a goal in the 91st. Isabel Cook in the 42nd and Elise Clayton in the 83rd. With the goals for Swindon Town. Maidenhead United's only goal of the game coming to Macy Nikia Walters in the 21st minute. And then for the Division 1 South West table then, Abingdon United are top with a goal difference of 3. Swindon Town in second, Moneyfields third, Keynsham Town fourth, Worthing fifth and Bristol Rovers sixth, all having won on the opening day. Worthing scoring 5 goals, but because they conceded 4, they're only in 5th in the table on goal difference. Portishead Town in 7th, Ascot United 8th, Bridgewater United 9th, Marine Academy Plymouth 10th, Bournemouth Sports are 11th and Maidenhead United are 12th after the opening day of the season. And there we go. We have got through the opening day of the FAWNL season. So we can all have a bit of a break. Oh wait, no we can't, because we've now got to have a look at the results from the opening group stages of the FAWNL Cup and Plate. Right, loads to go through with the Cup and Plate as well. Then we've got 22 groups, and rather unusually, we have 2 abandonments in Group A. So Bristol Rovers against Bridgewater United. The venue was moved at 11 o'clock of the day of the game, and then they get there and there's barely any grass on the pitch, and the floodlights fail after about 15 minutes. So that game gets abandoned, and then Marine Academy Plymouth against Plymouth was abandoned to a bad injury to Lulu Jarvis of Plymouth Argyle. So that was abandoned at half time. So after the first round of matches, nobody in Group A has actually done anything to get themselves into the Cup or the Plate competitions. Those games will be rescheduled in due course. Group B, Abingdon United losing to Southampton's PGA side by 2-0, but Exeter City beating Portishead Town by 3-0, mean that in Group B it's Exeter who go top with Southampton second early on. Abingdon United and Portishead Town yet to get off the mark, but they play each other in match day 2. Group C, Swindon Town beat Bristol City by 4-3, so they go top of the table. Keynsham Town against Gwalior, which was meant to be this Thursday, just gone, has Being moved to the middle of September, something which was only confirmed by either Keynsham, Gwalior or the league, with Gwalior posting about it at 2 o'clock on the day. So not great communication there for any fans who wanted to make the trip to Keynsham, but that will have to wait for another month. So they will actually play. So Gwalior will play Bristol City and Keynsham will take on Swindon before they then face each other later on in the month of September. Group D, a massive win for Brighton Hove Albion's PGA side over Worthing. Worthing perhaps slightly knackered after that 5-4 win over Portishead in the league. So they lose heavily to Brighton Hove Albion. Fulham losing to Lewis by 2-1. They did a huge fight there against the Tier 3 opposition. But it's Brighton Hove Albion PGA who top the table. Then Lewis in second at the moment in Group D. Group E, a 0-0 draw between Ascot United and Moneyfields. That's a great point for Ascot United. And the Bournemouth derby goes the way of AFC Bournemouth, somewhat unsurprisingly, you could argue there, against Bournemouth Sport. So it's Bournemouth who top the table after match day 1, with Ascot United in second, although that is purely on an alphabetical basis at the moment. Group F, Cheltenham Town beating Worcester City by 2-0, and Kidderminster Harriers with a good 2-2 draw against Birmingham City. So they both share a point. Cheltenham Town top with the 3 points and that 2-goal difference. Group G, AFC Sudbury beating Billericay Town by 3-1. It has not been a good start to the season for Billericay Town, losing 7-0 to Bournemouth on the opening day, now losing to Tier 4 opposition AFC Sudbury in the first game of Group G. But a thriller between Chatham Town and London City Lionesses. 6-4 Chatham win that one, and they go to the top of the table. London City Lionesses are in third, so it's 2 wins for Chatham Town and AFC Sudbury. They are top 2 on the table with 3 points each, and they do not play each other until the final match day. That could be a great game to decide who goes straight through into the cup and who's got to fight for it with the second place rankings. We will go through those rankings a little bit later on. Group H, Chelsea's Academy beat AFC Wimbledon by 3-2. So another PGA side currently top of their group. Actonians beating Maidenhead United by 1-0 in that one as well. So 2 wins for the opening round of fixtures in Group H, but it's Chelsea who top the table. Group I, United, big win over Crystal Palace's PGA by 6-1. And Dulwich Hamlet beating London Bees by 2-1. So it's United of the Southern Premier Division who top Group I with Dulwich Hamlet in second. London Bees only have a goal difference of -1, so they can easily turn that around and maybe still get into the plate if they cannot reach the cup. Group J, big wins here in Group J. Watford thrashing Charlton Athletic Women by 7-0 to go top of the table. And Queen's Park Rangers, after that big win against Milton Keynes Dons earlier in the week, then beat Chesham United by 7-1. So Queen's Park Rangers are have scored 14 goals in 2 games, but they're only second in the group because Watford put 7 past Charlton Athletic Women, who are bottom of Group J. Group K, Loughborough Lightning losing to Rugby by 2-1, but a great result for Northampton Town, who beat Arsenal's Academy by 3-1 to go top of the group. Rugby Borough in second. Again, another group with 2 wins, 2 defeats after the first round of matches. Into Group L, Norwich City beating Peterborough United by 2-0, and Real Bedford beating Cambridge United by 2-1. So Norwich City go top of Group L, Real Bedford second in Group L as it stands at the moment. Group M, a good win for Luton Town Ladies over Tottenham Hotspur's PGA side. They win that by 4-1, and Oxford United beat MK Dons by 5-0. So it's Oxford United who top the table for that group, Group M, and Luton Town Ladies are second in that group, also on 3 points, but with a goal difference of 3. Group N, West Bromwich Albion 4, Stourbridge 0. Good win for the Tier 3 side in Group N, but also a good draw for Leafield Athletic against Leicester City's Academy. So it's West Brom who go top, Leafield Athletic are second, Leicester City are third with 1 point each. Stourbridge currently bottom of that group. Group O, Sutton Coldfield Town 0, Aston Villa Academy 6. Big win for Aston Villa there against Sutton Coldfield Town. And Sporting Cowser 0, Boldmere St Michael's 1 means that Boldmere St Michael's take that second spot in Group O. But Switch Sport was also there this midweek between Sutton Coldfield Town and Aston Villa. And after that game, Kevin Moore spoke to Harry Rowe.
Harry, not to be tonight, a 6-0 loss against Aston Villa Academy. First foray into the National League Cup, new format, new structure, new experience for everybody concerned in the club, really, isn't it? Certainly you can see why the Academy side are so well organised tonight. Was it a tough evening, or was it at the same time also a learning curve as well, Harry?
Yeah, credit to Aston Villa. You really see their quality. They move the ball really well. They had really good patterns. They were good on the ball, and they caused us lots of problems. Personally, I think that we were a little bit poor. I think that we didn't really get ourselves started in the game and gave ourselves a big mountain to climb with how we conceded goals so early. Yeah, a little bit frustrated with us. I said that to the girls at half-time and full-time, they punished our mistakes really, really well. And yeah, tough to take the office, but one we'll certainly bounce back from. But no, credit to Aston Villa, they were very good. They were good quality for the win, and I don't think anyone disputes it on their day. They were the deserved winners, Do I think 6-0 was a little bit harsh? Yes, but do I still think they were deserved winners of the day? 100%.
It is the nature of this competition, isn't it, really, where it's a group stage where you've got to try and start positive for your first group match, get that initial 3 points to begin with. But it's a very quick turnaround before your next fixture against Worcester City on the Sunday, Harry. Is that going to have a detrimental effect on your preparations? Because you don't play on the Tuesday nights. Is it a case of rest tomorrow, back on it Thursday and prepare for Sunday?
Yeah, we'll be back in training. Obviously training will have to be lighter. We'll have to manage the load of the girls. There's a few of them that got a nice welcome back to league football with 2 games in 48 hours, which wasn't the plan. But we have a big squad for a reason, and you saw that with the 10 changes today. Maybe a couple too many, but we have to come back. We have to show a reaction today. We weren't at our levels. Stourbridge on Sunday was a really positive. Today was a dampener on that, and we have to bounce back. We have to show our quality, and we have to prove that we are worthy of this league and worthy of competing at the level.
Is there any positives you can take from tonight's game, playing such a high quality side?
There's a positives take from any game. I think Milturk's returned to the pitch after I know she played half hour on Sunday, but after 3 or 4 weeks out of pre-season with a knock was always positive. I thought she did really well. Was one of the shining lights. We had lots of debuts. I thought Chloe Dan having a full debut as a starter was good value. Ran herself into the ground, bless her, and showed some good moments. Of course, she's 16. She's going to struggle at times, and against such an opposition, it's going to be difficult. But I think she did well. I think there was certainly spells where we moved the ball and could have on another day created chances. That we have to take accountability and understand that it wasn't our best performance. It wasn't our finest performance out on the pitch, and we'll go and rectify that and go and put that right. But no, I think there was still certainly a few positives to take. Certainly less than Stourbridge, but there's still things to look for in the game and still things to push moving forwards.
Any negatives you can also look to put right in the training in the coming days?
We were probably a little bit too exposed in terms of runners from deep. They caused us some problems with their pace. They caused us some problems with a real willingness to go direct after drawing us in, which good teams will do. We were probably a little bit short of our best in terms of that aggression, that willingness to work hard out of possession, and we'll speak about that. We'll rectify that. So yeah, there was certainly things that we need to improve. The girls know that. I was very honest at half time. I was very honest at full time, where we certainly need to put a few things right. But overall, I know the girls will give me a reaction. I trust in the squad, and I know that we'll get a reaction on Sunday.
Is there any particular teams that you're looking forward to, and also any particular teams that you could be real dark horses this tournament?
I think it's going to be interesting. The PJs are always a little bit blind in terms of you don't know which of the PJs are going to send their first years, their second years, which ones are going to send their best girls. Some might protect a few, so they're always a little bit of a dark horse in terms of you don't really know too much of what to expect. It's a lot easier to get footage of teams in and around the first team level where you're now exchanging footage, rather than PJs are a little bit quiet. They're a little bit harder to track, a little bit harder to get footage off. So yeah, I think the format's good. I think it gives us more games. It gives us more opportunity to go and play slightly different teams. We're now playing a tier 3 team, a PJ, and obviously Boldmere. So it'll be interesting. We played Calsh in a few weeks, who we faced in pre-season. So we'll learn from that. It's a positive. Although we didn't start well today, we'll certainly bounce back.
Do you think conceding so early maybe had an effect on the final result as well, or was that just us Aston Villa showing their strength in the setup that they've got?
Yeah, look, Villa's set up second to none. They train 4 or 5 days a week. They have days off. They're training, Monday, Tuesday, game Wednesday, training Friday, Saturday. Teams have access to that. Teams have exposure to quality and facilities and things like that. So, it's always going to be difficult. I think, it never helps when you concede early. It's when you cite yourselves on such a dampener. We had the extreme on Sunday where we score really early and we're the team that was 1 up, and then we also had it today where we concede really early and it's an uphill climb. And look, today they were worthy winners, and I'm not going to pretend like we were deserved of anything from that game. I think the girls know that. I think we know that. I think anyone watching knows that. We have to put things right.
Being 2-0 down just before half time, and then obviously there was the 2 Villa disallowed goals for offside, but then also Sutton just before the break had a goal disallowed. Are you then thinking as a coach, if we get one here with them back in the game? But then there was also the changes at half time as well.
Yeah, I think obviously if we go into 1 in at the break, although it wouldn't have been deserved, it certainly would have made it a different second half. It would have made it a different team talk. Look, I needed to make a statement with the first half performance and make some changes, which I did. Unfortunately, one of those did pick up a little bit of a knock as she came on, which was never nice and almost wasted a change, but you can't help that. That's football. So, we'll certainly look back on that. I don't regret making the changes. I think it was the right thing to do in the moment. And yeah, look, I think certain players did really, really well in second half. I think certain players struggled, but that's the nature of the beast. I've got some players that have played 180 minutes in 2 days that were just dead on their feet at the end of that game, and that's when Villa punished.
Worcester Sunday, will we see more changes within the squad, or will it be back to the first 11 from Sunday?
We'll have a look. There's certainly some that will come back into the fold. There's certainly a few players that we rested today purposely for Sunday and ready for that. And yeah, there'll certainly, be a few changes. There has to be. With 3 game weeks are massive. You have to use your squad, you have to rotate, and yeah, there'll be some surprises. There'll be some that retain their place, there'll be some that have earned the right to do that, and there'll be some that are fighting for it on training, and we'll go from there.
Harry Rowe there speaking after that heavy defeat for Sutton Coldfield Town in the week. They'll have to pick themselves up again and go in the league this weekend. Group P then, still plenty to go through from the FAWNL Cup. Derby County beating Notts County by 4-1, and Sheffield beating Lincoln United 1-0. So Derby County go top of the group, Sheffield in second, Lincoln United third, and Notts County fourth after the first round of matches. Group Q, probably one of the most difficult groups here. Wolves beating Stoke City by 2-1, a very late winner for Wolves, giving them all 3 points. And Wythenshawe with a great draw against Manchester United's PGA side. This is a Manchester United PGA side that got to the semi-finals of the Plate last year, and it's a draw with Wythenshawe this time around. So Wolves, the only team to win in that group, they go top. Manchester United are currently second, but again, only alphabetically at the moment, with only 1 game played. Group R, Cheadle Stingers against Liverpool was postponed due to Liverpool not being able to play the game, and a draw between Stockport County and Liverpool Feds mean that those two go top because with their 1 point they are the only ones who have registered anything in Group R. Group S, Hull City 5, Doncaster Rovers 1, so big win for Hull against lower tier opposition, and Sheffield United's PGA side narrowly beat Barnsley Women's by 1-0, so they take second, with Hull taking the top spot. Group T, Blackburn 2, Huddersfield Town 3, narrow victory there for Huddersfield, but 3 points nevertheless. And Burnley beating Chorley by 2-0. Tier 3 Burnley getting their first 3 points in Group T. Group U, Leeds United of Tier 4 beat third tier Halifax by 1-0, and Norton Stockton Ancients beat York City by the same scoreline. So Leeds and Norton have 3 points each, take the top 2 spots, with York City Ladies and Halifax coming up against each other in match day 2, taking third and fourth. And finally, for Group V, it's Chester Street Town 1, Sunderland's PGA side 4, and Durham Sestra 1, Middlesbrough 4. So 2 4-1 wins for the away sides in Group V. Middlesbrough and Sunderland go first and second. They play each other in match day 2, with Chester Street Town and Durham Sestra also coming up against each other. Let's then just have a gander over the rankings of second and third in the Cup and Plate competitions then. So the 22 group winners will go straight through into the cup. Those 10 best second place sides will join them in the cup, and then the remaining second place sides and the 20 best third place sides will go into the plate competition. Of course, it doesn't really mean a great deal at this stage of the groups with only one game played and 2 still to go, but the second place sides as it stands going through into the cup are Queen's Park Rangers, Luton Town, Sunderland's PGA side, AFC Sudbury, Southampton's PGA side, Huddersfield Town, Dulwich Hamlet, Lewis, Rail Bedford and Rugby Borough. They all won their games and their goal differences start at 6 with Queen's Park Rangers, do go down to 1, and if goal difference is the same, it's goals for that then go into account. And then if that's the same, if memory serves me right, it then goes down into your goals against, although that would kind of match if the goal difference was the same, and then you're getting into like fair play. So at the minute that's not a factor. Rugby Borough going into the cup, and then the second place sides into the plate: Actonians, Boldmere, St Michael's, Sheffield, Norton Stockton Ancients and Sheffield United's PGA side, who all won but only by 1 goal and scored 1 goal. Then Birmingham City's PGA, Ascot United, Leeford Athletic, Manchester United's PGA and Stockport County, who drew. Bristol Rovers and Gwalior United, interestingly, haven't played, but means that because of the way the groups have worked, they're actually in second place in their group and haven't played. And then for third place teams in the plate competition, it's Kidderminster Harriers, Leicester City PGA, Moneyfields. Actually, it's going to be easier to say it's all the third place teams apart from the Tottenham Hotspur PGA and Chesham United at the moment, who are going into the plate as it stands. But of course, there is an awful lot that can change between now and the finalisation of those groups. So that is the FAWNL Cup and Plate covered as well. We've heard many interviews. Let's look ahead to what we can look forward to this weekend. Yes, the Northern Premier Division this weekend then. Derby County taking on Loughborough Lightning. Derby, of course, had that big defeat on the opening day. Loughborough Lightning in the mid-table after drawing with West Bromwich Albion. Halifax against Stoke City. Hull City against West Bromwich Albion. Middlesbrough against Rugby Borough. 2 opposite sides of the table after game week 1. Sporting Cowser against Liverpool Feds. And Wolverhampton Wanderers against Burnley. Is that going to be almost a league decider in just match day 2? Burnley travelling down to Wolves. We know it's going to be a huge game. They are 2 of the sides tipped to finish in the top 2 at the end of the season. Who's going to get that automatic spot? Who's going to go into the playoff? Of course, Rugby Borough Stoke will have something to say about that as well, but that is a really big game in the Northern Premier Division, particularly this early on in the season. Southern Premier Division, Billericay Town host Gwalior United, Exeter City against Lewis, Hashtag United against AFC Bournemouth, Hashtag a team that was fighting so hard last season, struggled a bit in the league already this season after losing to Plymouth. Bournemouth coming in on a high and 900 days unbeaten. As I've said, they're top of the table after 1 match day. That's going to be a real good test to not only see really where AFC Bournemouth are, but also where are Hashtag United this season. Oxford United against AFC Wimbledon, Rail Bedford against Cheltenham Town, and Watford against Plymouth Argyle. So there's plenty, of course, 100% records still on the line after only 1 match day. In Division 1 North, Cheadle Stingers against Huddersfield Town, Chester Street Town against Leeds United, Chorley take on Stockport County, Doncaster Rovers Bells against York City, Durham Sestra against Blackburn Rovers, and Wythenshawe against Norton and Stockton Ancients. So plenty of sides looking for their first points there. Into Division 1 Midlands, Kidderminster Harriers against Northampton Town, Peterborough United take on Lincoln United, Stourbridge against Notts County. Worcester City at home to Sutton Coldfield Town is our feature game on Switch Sport this week. So you'll be able to join Kevin Moore from 1:55 on Switch Radio for live coverage of that one. Bournemouth St Michael's against Barnsley Women's, and Leafield Athletic against Sheffield rounds off Division 1 Midlands. 6 wins and 6 defeats from the opening round. See how many we get this time around. Division 1 South East, Actonians against Fulham, Cambridge United take on Luton Town, Dulwich Hamlet against Chesham United, London Bees face AFC Sudbury, Queen's Park Rangers against Norwich City should be an absolute cracker of a game down there in South East, and Chatham Town against Milton Keynes Dons. Again, Chatham Town with that big win on the opening day of the season, Milton Keynes Dons with a heavy defeat. Be very interesting to see what happens in that one as well. And then finally, Division 1 South West, Abingdon United against Swindon Town, Ascot United against Moneyfields. They played in the week in the Cup. It was a 0-0 draw. See what it is in the league. Bridgewater United against Bristol Rovers, Maidenhead United against Keynsham Town, Marine Academy Plymouth against Portishead Town, and finally Worthing against Bournemouth Sport. So it's only been one game, but the top two face each other this weekend, with Swindon travelling to Abingdon United. Instead, there is a repeat of the Cup between Ascot United and Moneyfields. Well, that was an awful lot of results and fixtures to look at on this week's Women's Football Chat, plus an awful lot of interviews as well. A big thank you to everyone who took the time out to speak to us on the Women's Football Chat this week. Coming up then on Sunday, there is that Worcester City against Sutton Coldfield Town coverage from 1:55 on Switch Radio and on social media as well at W Football Chat. All of the results and tables from Sunday afternoon's games. You'll be able to hear them as well with the classified football results. And don't forget to keep a check out on TikTok as well for all of the very latest from the FA Women's National League. That will about do it then for this week's show on Switch Radio. The Alternative 80s show with Andrew Richards is with you after the news at 6.